Oh, we want to change. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Monday Lunchtime Digest. Happy Monday, Haley.
Happy Monday, Micah.
It is July 28th, 2025, and we are really, really busy because a lot has been happening in Oklahoma in the world of mental health just over the past few days. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is Ryan Walters. I think unless you've been living under a rock, then you have definitely heard about Ryan Walters and what has been going on with him. And so with Ryan Walters, apparently there was a closed executive session with the education board, and he had his laptop hooked up to a monitor and was trying to show a presentation displayed on the monitor on the TV screen behind him from his laptop, and pornography or at least naked women showed up. And so then the report is that he just kind of hastily turned it off and didn't address it, didn't talk about it. I think he's come out with a statement since talking about the board members that reported it, how it was just a complete fabrication and lie. So he is standing by his version of events. And then there are people who are really concerned about what they saw that came up on the monitor from his laptop. So just to help educate, counselors, that if you want to reach out to your representatives, of course, reach out to your specific representatives, your specific state senator, and your specific representative. But then also you can reach out to Adam Pugh. So Adam Pugh is the senator that is head of the Education Committee in the Senate. And then also reach out to Dick Lowe, who is head of the Education Committee in the House. So those would be the people to email and reach out to. And whichever way that you fall on this, if you feel like it's really concerning and it should be investigated further, then reach out to those people. If you feel like it's much to do about nothing, then you can certainly reach out to them and say, hey, we feel like that this is much to do about nothing, and you can reach out to them and let them know that as well. Also, I know we've been talking about the interim studies that are coming up. So, the Senate interim study 25-077, which is looking at consolidating medical boards. And so I know we talked about that in our past Monday Lunchtime Digest. Won't spend too much time on that today. But again, just a quick reminder that Paul Rosino in the Senate, he's the one that heads the Health and Human Services Committee there in the Senate that is in charge of that interim study. So if you reach out to him and just let him know that, we feel like that the Oklahoma Board of Behavioral Health, or if you're a social worker, the Oklahoma State Board of Social Work, whichever your discipline is, we feel like that it works better as an independent board, and we are happy to give you any information that you need in your study there. Or again, if you feel the other way, reach out to them and say, hey, we feel like that our boards should be governed by a higher entity, another layer, if you want to call it that. And whatever information you need on that, we're happy to provide that. So those are the people to reach out to there. And then also the House recently passed its list of interim studies. And so one of the big things on the list is an interim study that is looking at how the HMO, the Medicaid HMOs, how they are affecting providers, affecting patients, and doing a study on that. And so Jacob Rosecrans is one of the, Representative Rosecrans is one of the ones who is going to be heading up that study. And so if you'd like to send him an email and just let him know your experiences with that process, as well as a provider, or if you're on the other end of it as a patient who is receiving services while under one of the HMOs for what used to be called Sooner Care. I think it's called Sooner Select now. But anyway, they would be the person to reach out to there. The other thing, real quick, I want to talk about is the new news about the master's level psychologist licensure. So wrote an article about that a little while back. I know we've talked about them in Monday Lunchtime Digest in the past. So this is where the psychologists were looking at having a licensure for master's level practitioners. And so they did not want to use the word psychologist. So I am only using the word psychologist here as a way to kind of clarify what it is, but they weren't sure what they would call it, but they knew that they did not want to call it a psychologist. They want the term psychologist to only be for doctorate level practitioners, but a master's level psychological assistant, whatever it might be called. They were looking at that, and we're looking at two different scenarios. One where they would be under supervision with a doctorate level psychologist and then eventually be able to practice independently. And then another one being where they would forever be under a doctorate level licensed psychologist and practice under them, kind of like a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant traditionally in the past would do. I know they're getting more independent practicing rights, but they would forever work underneath them. So there was recently something released by the Oklahoma Psychological Association, which was talking about a board meeting that was done by the Oklahoma State Board of Examiners of Psychologists. It was just an update on what happened at the board meeting. So this came out July 11th, and in it talked about the master's level licensure and said that I want to try to find it and read it exactly, but it said that it has been, here we go. Master's level licensure under psychology. It was asked to be tabled with possible recommendations later in the year, if at all. Other issues are taking priority, and given that Oklahoma can control this process and any legislation, it's not the highest priority at the moment. So it's been tabled for other things. So that's not anything that's going to be happening in the near future, in case you've been following along and wondering about what was going on with that. So that's all that I have. Hayley, what do you have?
Goodness, Micah, that's a lot of updates you have, and I've seen some posts about saying the Rosecrans is interim study in regards to Sooner Select. I've seen a lot of folks commenting on Facebook groups about their experience with these HMOs, and I really encourage you all, whatever you're sharing on those Facebook groups, forward those to these representatives too. So maybe they have access to these Facebook groups, maybe they don't. There's many ways that you can contact them. You can contact them by the email. You can call their office. No matter which way you contact them, whether it's email, their office, or the contact us form, your voice can be heard. And so make sure that you're sharing that, not just to those Facebook groups, but also to these representatives. And so further on news and research. And so I'm going to start off with a news story, a national news story that's actually hitting a little close to home. And so as we know, with the current presidential administration, there have been many cuts to federal grants over the last few months. And unfortunately, one of Oklahoma's prime examples of research and grant money being put to good use has been cut. And so the University of Oklahoma had launched in 2023 what they called the PRIME project, with this Project Rural Innovation for Mental Health Enhancement. And so through this program, OU was providing free training for folks who wanted to pursue graduate school and to become an LPC, a LCSW, or a BCBA. And so over the last 2 years, OU has graduated 16 providers from this program. And so folks can apply to be part of this program. They get trained to go back to their communities. All of their schooling and expenses are paid for. And right now they have 24 other candidates to be in their program. But since the funding has been cut, that program no longer has a significant source of funding. Therefore, the PRIME program is no longer able to pay for student schooling. And so according to OU, so this is all comes from an NPR article that was just released today, but according to OU, they had 27 new students enrolled for this next school year. And after the funding was cut, so they had to let everyone know, say, hey, you can still continue schooling, but your schooling's no longer going to be paid for. That number has dropped from 27 to 13 enrollees. And so it's cut by more than half. And so as we know, mental health in Oklahoma is facing a shortage. All 77 counties in the state have a shortage of mental health providers. And according to the NPR article, Oklahoma has one school counselor for every 361 students. And according to research, rural schools are 19% less likely to have the ability to do regular mental health assessments with their students than non-rural schools. And so this program, not only does it affect the lives of those students who are unable to get their schooling paid for, but it also potentially affects the lives of all of these students and clients that these folks would have been able to take on. And so according to the article, OU has appealed this decision to lose the grant funding. They have not heard back from the grant administrator at the federal level to see if that appeal has been accepted. And they have not received any reason as to why their grant in particular was defunded. And so to be continued there, but that really is a sad day for mental health community here in Oklahoma.
Yes, definitely. That is very sad to hear. And a lot of things I know in mental health are being cut back right now at a time when we really need those services. We need them before, but then after COVID, certainly needed them after that, and continue to need them. And to see those things get cut is really sad to see.
Absolutely. It's a mental health has been kind of a buzzword, especially the last 5 or 6 years, but that's a good thing. People are more likely to talk about mental health, which means they're more likely to seek services. And so we're seeing an increased need after COVID, not only because there's an increase in uh, anxiety, depression, other mental health concerns, but also people are starting to recognize that, hey, it's okay to reach out for mental health counseling. So it's a good thing that people are talking about it more, but it also means that we need more practitioners, especially in these rural areas. And so to be continued on that, hopefully OU can get that appeal granted there.
Yeah, let's hope so. So what else
But
is going on there, Haley?
So, a little bit of news from the world in general. So, this is a study that came out of China. It's from the BMJ Journal of Evidence Based Medicine. And so, this was a study that looked at the relationship between insomnia symptoms and exercise. And so, this was a meta analysis that reviewed 13 different research studies and had 1,348 participants across all the studies. So, looked at a lot of data. But according to this research, between 4 and 22% of people in general have symptoms of insomnia. So, not necessarily that they meet criteria for full diagnosis, but they do experience insomnia symptoms. And so, this study wanted to look at what are non-medicinal interventions that might be helpful in treating insomnia, because as we know, there are a lot of medications that are approved for insomnia, but they all have various side effects. Some folks don't want to take them because of those side effects. And there has been a lot of research that suggests that therapeutic interventions, such as cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, are really effective interventions for treating insomnia. However, what the researchers had discussed is that, one of the big barriers to doing CBTI is that there's not a lot of therapists who are trained in CBTI. And so, I know that I've taken CEUs in CBTI, but I'm not a CBTI therapist myself. And I wouldn't consider myself equipped in being able to do CBTI. And so what they wanted to look at is not only, what is the effectiveness of CBTI, but what are other interventions that might be helpful. So in this study, they looked at CBTI, they looked at exercise, because previous research has found that exercise can be helpful for reducing insomnia symptoms, but these researchers wanted to figure out what kinds of what kinds of exercise, and what is this dosage for that exercise. And they also wanted to look at other interventions that might be helpful. So they looked at everything from massages, they looked at Ayurveda interventions, and they looked at, of course, nothing, because we want to have that control group, right? And so what they found was that when looking at different forms of exercise, whether it's walking, jogging, weight training, things like that, yoga, walking, and Tai Chi, walking, and jogging, and Tai Chi were the three kinds of exercise that showed the most benefits when it came to symptom reduction for insomnia. And so what they found is that CBTI was the most effective. So those individuals who went through CBT for insomnia protocol had the greatest and most long-standing reduction of symptoms. But after that, number one was yoga. Those who regularly engaged in yoga for 6 to 24 weeks showed an increase in sleep by 2 hours. And they also found a sleep efficiency increase of 15%. So sleep efficiency is how long you are staying in bed compared to how long you're actually asleep. And so if you're in bed for, let's say, 10 hours, but you're only sleeping for 9 of those hours, and you have a 90% sleep efficiency. And so those who did regular yoga had an increase on average of 2 hours of sound sleep and 15% increase in efficiency of that sleep efficiency. Next was walking and jogging. So walking and jogging, those who did regular walking and jogging for 6 to 24 weeks showed an overall reduction in insomnia symptoms. So not only the ability to get sound sleep with that sleep efficiency, but also, the ability to have restful sleep and then not wake up during the night. And they think the reason for that is whenever we walk, when we do jogging, we are actively decreasing cortisol levels. And so if we don't have as much cortisol running through our body, of course, it's going to be easier for us to relax. And the third one was Tai Chi. And so Tai Chi increased sleep by on average 50 minutes, so 50 minutes, and had the overall biggest decrease in symptoms across the board for insomnia. And so the researchers suggested that, things like yoga and Tai Chi, it focuses a lot on mindfulness, on breath control, a lot of physical activity that, as we know, breaks that cycle of anxiety. As if we're feeling really agitated, physically agitated, that can feel those thoughts. We're feeling those thoughts, then that's going to feel our body. And so if we're actively doing these things that calm our body, then that can help calm our brain. And so it's showing that these interventions, these might be the exercises in general that are showing the greatest reduction in symptoms. And again, they looked at other things like weight training, they looked at other aerobic exercises, but really it were these three types of exercise that showed the greatest reduction in insomnia symptoms.
Oh, that's fantastic. And where was that study found again?
And so I found this one on Science Direct, but it is published in the BMJ Journal of Evidence-Based Medicine.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much for that. And so definitely something to tell our clients about, who are experiencing insomnia. And then also, just shameless plug, we do have a on-demand continuing education course on cognitive behavior therapy for insomnia. So if you're interested in just knowing more about what it's about, then you can go to counselinginstitute.org and find CBTI there and take that course and earn continuing education.
Absolutely. It's a great course, a great introduction. It provides a lot of information for further study as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. What else is going on with OCI, Hayley?
So lots of great things. So we have a very full on-demand catalog, Micah. I think we have about 220 on-demand CEUs available in our catalog right now. And so if you are an LCSW or an LMFT who have to renew your license here in about 5 months or so, it's a great time to get a head start on those CEUs. But also if you're an LPC or LADC, you want to get a way head start. I mean, that's great too. But you can find all of our on-demand trainings on counselinginstitute.org. We also have a very full webinar season coming up. And so starting on Friday, September 5th, we're going to kick off our live webinar season with in the morning with a 3-hour training on crisis stabilization and how to assess when our clients need higher levels of care. In the afternoon, we're going to have a 3-hour ethics training on the ethics of working with clients who identify as Muslim. And so 2 great trainings coming up on September 5th. We'll also have trainings on Friday, October 3rd, Saturday, November 8th. And of course, we'll have our winter webinar weekend, the first Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of December. And so you can find the fall and winter training dates by going to counselinginstitute.org. There's a big banner that says save the date. Click on save the date, and you'll find all of those dates now. We'll hopefully have registration up here in the next week or so for at least those first 2 trainings. But we hope you can join us this fall. So there's plenty of opportunity to get those live CEs. We'll have ethics this year, of course. We'll have supervision. We'll have general. We'll have drug and alcohol specific, and much, much more. And so as Micah has up there, go to counselinginstitute.org today to save the dates and learn more.
Yes, and we would love to see you there at the live webinars that are coming up here in the fall and winter. And then also we'd love to see you before then. So we'd encourage you to come check out our Whimsical Wednesday that is coming up August 6th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And we will be at the study. And so we are going there to listen to some live jazz, also just hang out with other therapists, relax. We can do a little bit of networking there if we'd like. And then also Hayley will have a game, have some type of activity for us in order for somebody to win free CEs there as well. So we would love to see you at the study on August 6th for our Whimsical Wednesday.
Yes, we've had a lot of fun the last couple of months with Whimsical Wednesdays. We've seen some new faces, we've seen some old friends, and so hopefully you can join us for our next round.
Yeah, we'd love to see you guys there. And then just as a reminder of things that are happening at Edmond Counseling and Professional Development, we have our SMART group. And so it's if you're not familiar, SMART is an alternative to AA based on cognitive behavior therapy, ACT, motivational interviewing. You can learn more about SMART at smartedmond.com. And then we also have the Family and Friends group. So that is for people who are love somebody who is in recovery or who should be in recovery, who's dealing with addiction, that they can get the support that they need. And it not only provides support, but it's also based off of an evidence-based curriculum, the CRAFT model. And so we have a Smart Friends and Family meeting that occurs here on Wednesdays. It's hybrid, so it can be in person or online. So to learn more about that, go to smartedmond.com as well.
Absolutely. And on top of all that, Micah has recently also just completed his training in wellness coaching through the Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. And so we're happy to say that we are now offering organizational wellness trainings. And so this is based off of SAMHSA's 6 components of wellness. And so we'll be having more information about that soon. But if your organization would like any kind of training when it comes to SAMHSA's 6 aspects of organizational wellness or burnout prevention or communication, send us an email, shoot us a text, 405-440-3034. We'll be happy to tell you more about the trainings that we can create for your organization and beyond.
Yeah, and whatever organization that is, from for-profit to nonprofit, from a small shop to a large psychiatric hospital or group home, we'd be happy to come in and do the organizational trainings or organizational wellness trainings for you. So just reach out to us and we'd be happy to share details and arrange to do that with you.
Absolutely.
All right, Hayley. So I know we do a weekly drawing to see who wins continuing education. So who is our winner for this past week in this week's drawing?
This week's winner is Teresa Bleeker. Yay, Teresa.
Hey, congratulations, Teresa.
And so, Teresa, send me an email, shoot me a text, let me know which course from our on-demand catalog you would like. And if you would like to be like Teresa and you would like to be entered into a chance to win next week's drawing, you can do one of 3 or all 3 things. You can like this post, you can share this post, or you can comment your answer to today's question. Every time you do one of those 3 things, not only do you help us grow, help us be seen by others, we also get entered into a chance to win next week's prize. And so, that being said, answer today's question. So, Micah, I'm going to ask you first.
I want you to go first. I have to Google mine real quick. You go first.
Google mine real quick. Okay. So the question for today's episode is, what is your favorite quote? And so my favorite quote is also the background on my phone. It's a daily reminder, and it's kind of a silly one, but it comes from my favorite book by Hunter S. Thompson, and the quote is, "Buy the ticket, take the ride." And so that quote means whenever there's an opportunity to do something interesting, to do something new, to do something you've never done before, buy the ticket, take the ride, do it. And so I try to live my life by that. It has led me to many, many incredible adventures, and I have gobs of stories that Mike has been privy to over the years from buying the ticket and taking the ride in my life. And so I try to live my life by that quote because it has led me to be able to meet new people, have new adventures, and learn a lot of great things. So,
and I love being part of some of these stories with Hayley, getting to sing karaoke with her recently, and hearing her karaoke song that she has. Yes. And so, what is your karaoke song? Your go-to?
Bust a Move, of course.
Bust a Move. Yeah, so I got to sing backup with you on that as well as my wife. My wife came up and sang backup with you as well. So
backup singers, very grateful for that. But you buy the ticket, you take the ride. If you don't buy the ticket, take the ride, you won't have the adventures, you won't have the stories, and you won't have the the memories to reflect on, right? We got a core memory.
So join us on August 6th at Whimsical Wednesday, and you can hear more of Hayley's stories, and we'd love to hear your stories as well. Again, hang out with just some mental health professionals and laugh and hang out there. So I had to Google mine real quick, Hayley, because I've only recently heard it, and it has come up in my mind again recently. So it's by Edward Wilson, and it says, "The real problem of humanity is the following. We have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology."
Okay, what does that quote mean for you, Micah?
That means we're in trouble. That's what that means. Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology. So anyway, so take away the meaning from that as you like, but that's a quote that's been in my head lately. So I would have to pick that one as my favorite one. So we'd love to hear what your favorite quote is. Just put it in the comment below. And as Hayley said, whenever you do that, you have a chance to enter into the weekly drawing and win continuing education.
Yes, and so thank you all so much for your comments, for your likes, for your shares, and for watching today's video. Every time you watch a video, you attend a live workshop, or you shoot us an email, not only do you help us grow, but you also help us to connect with you and make new friends along the way. And so we're really grateful for you guys and your support, and we hope to see you next Wednesday.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Everybody have a good week.